Kawede, welcome to Born Extinct, my journey to acknowledgement of my ancestors and my authentic spiritual self. My name is Atakwa, and I was born extinct. Colonization was so brutal, it wounded our souls permanently. The concept of historical trauma was first developed by the First Nations of Canada in the 1980s to explain the unending cycle of trauma and despair in their communities. It was previously called cumulative emotional and psychological wounding. Spooked livestock caught in a stampede, oxen, ostriches, and sheep trampling. Where are the children? It's dark, too dark to see. Flee. Small babies, girl children, and the elderly. Familiar sounds of terror. Shaking grounds, birds fleeing. Our security apparatus is ready. Our weapons are ready. Our weaponry is not designed for this kind of evil. Get to the river, the mountain is too far. Grab the small ones, weaker ones, on the back, on the shoulders, fast asleep. Run, crawl, swim, drag them. The men without skins, they are here. Get to the river. The sound of their weapons and their laughter deafening over the screaming, wailing, crying, squeaking. Run, women, run. Grab the girl children and run. Leave the boys. Leave the body parts. They can't be saved. I can't breathe. I can't see. Pale faces on alien beast, trampling, kicking, bolting through the smoke and the flames of the burning crops, stabbing, slashing, shooting, trapping, trampling, raping, setting them alight. Downstream, throw the children in the river, jump, grab a hold on to the dead and decapitated bodies. Try and survive, stay alive. The smell of burning flesh and the white man's weapons fill the air. They are laughing like demons. They enjoy their sport very much. These scenes play itself out as people flee into caves where everyone is either massacred on the edge of a cliff, driven into the mountain, trapped somewhere and burnt alive. I have this dream too regularly to keep track, but I can confidently say that I've had it more than 5,000 times in my life. I've learned to wake myself up before I'm raped, decapitated, disemboweled, or murdered. A large percentage of people had this recurring dream last night. Less than 1% will seek professional help. Few will end up on a couch with what my children call Barbie and Kens, the European doctors who will prescribe anti-anxiety drugs and sleeping pills. Colleagues and non-Indigenous people will say, you have an active imagination. Others will just say, oh, get over it. Few will need alcohol to recover, while others will seek narcotics to numb the pain. Some will take their own lives. Some will be overcome with guilt. Some will be too scared to sleep. The pain is too great. Barbie and Ken, on the other hand, will write a report. They will waste a few postgraduate years without people learning nothing and do their masters on Indigenous mental health. They are now experts in Indigenous affairs. They will be celebrated. They will get funding to write their masters and then their doctorates. No one cares about the damage they leave behind in the communities. Other academics will reference them like they do Anthony Teal, the most discredited historian in the history of academia. Our suffering is monetized. There's big money in Khoi and San suffering. Viva European, viva, you win. What would trigger such violent recurring dreams? It's simple. It's our history. It is the savagery of colonization that has permanently wounded our souls. It is also our environment. We have to face the descendants of our perpetrators daily. The triggers are caused by their continuous micro and macro aggressions, discrimination and oppressions that we have to endure from the settler as Indigenous people. Historical trauma is the effects of trauma inflicted on groups of people because of their race, creed, and ethnicities. Studies suggest that at least 1/3 of Indigenous people think of historical loss every day. Historical trauma or intergenerational trauma is cumulative and is experienced by groups that have a history of being systematically oppressed. Historical trauma is the ability to hold on or pass trauma from one generation to the next. Trauma or wounding is shared by a group. This trauma spans multiple generations. Members of the group may experience trauma-related symptoms even though they were born centuries after the event. The trauma is more pronounced if it's deliberately inflicted, as was with us, rather than a natural occurrence like an earthquake or a tsunami, and it remains where there is ongoing racism, family violence, and other events. Deliberately inflicted trauma creates victimization, psychological, cultural, and spiritual harm. Indigenous people never had enough time between New World epidemics, genocides, forced ethnic assimilation to develop coping skills. As aliens in our land, under constant siege from the oppressor and separated from our cultures, Indigenous people slowly retreated into despair and hollow silence, punctuated by outbursts of self-defeating behavior. Recollections of past life often involve powerful emotions surrounding sequences of events portraying personal circumstances in different historical periods in great detail. The experiencer knows that these events are personal memories from a previous time. It also indicates that past life experiences is an explanation for strange behaviors such as untenable fear